Hello and welcome to today's 4Ps podcast. Today we are going to get a little bit uncomfortable with our conversation. We are going to be talking about the dangerous modern man, and we have a female guest that is telling us men to kind of step up a little bit and do our thing. Joe Jackson will be here today, and we'll be right back right after this.
Do you have the next big thing? That world-changing whatchamacallit? Do you have a story to tell? You need a show-stopping web presence. You need the web spinners at Webinit. With big picture solutions, spinning together SEO, stellar web design, blogging, podcasts, and social media integrations, you'll find yourself developing your latest and greatest thing, idea, or telling that next chapter in your story. Look us up today at Webinit.com, and remember, you're not everywhere unless you're Webinit.
I want to thank you for your continued support on the 4Ps podcast. This podcast is growing every single day. And just recently, I found out that there is an autonomous region in the English Channel named Jersey. And the reason why I found out that there's this region is because there are people listening to the podcast in that area. And I want to thank you so much for your support. If you enjoy the 4Ps podcast and you enjoy stories similar to the ones you hear on the podcast, you will love the book, The 4Ps of You. The 4Ps of You is a collection of stories that deal with those 4Ps, and those Ps are purpose, planning, passion, and persistence. These are a great way to build that foundation and go forward in planning life and finding your meaning and finding your purpose. That is the 4Ps of You. It is available on Amazon. It is available at Barnes & Noble here in the United States. It is also available at Chapters and Indigo Bookstore in Canada. It is available in the UK. It is available all around the world. You can find it. And you know what? I'm going to make sure that it is in Jersey. That is the 4Ps of You. Please get it. Please read it. And thank you for your continued support.
Welcome back to the 4Ps podcast. Today's conversation is going to be a little uncomfortable because as a man, and I know many of us are pretty much unsure about what we could say, what we shouldn't say. Should we open the door? Should we not open the door? Should we do? I don't know. We just get confused in today's society. And it is kind of weird where it is almost, we're not sure of our role. The funny thing is that if you are not sure of a role that you are supposed to play, you're going to fail. That's all there is to it. You're going to fail. You have to know your role. If you miss in football, if you miss an assignment, you're not going to catch the pass. If you miss an assignment, you're going to allow someone else to catch the pass and they're going to score on you. If you miss and if you fail to understand your role in sports, yes, you are going to lose. If you fail to understand your role in a family unit, the family loses too. It's just like a team, okay? And sometimes we just don't know our role. Sometimes we're just not sure, and it leads to a whole bunch of issues. It really does. A couple weeks ago, and I'm not trying to call my man out, all right? I'm really not trying to call my man out. Right down the street from my house, a car hit a deer. And they hit the deer in a way where the deer was not going to survive. However, it was still living. So they call the cops to the scene. And as you know, the cops come and I walk down there because I'm one of those neighbors. What's going on down here? That's me. Sometimes I want to know what's going on in my neighborhood. So I walk down and I see this cop. Okay, cop is down there. There are some other neighbors around there. The deer is struggling. All right, the deer is struggling. And so I also look down the street on the sidewalk, and I see a family walking down. It is a young family. They literally have the father standing in the back, okay, walking behind the mother and the baby who is in a stroller. And they also have a dog. It's a perfect, if you want to say the Hallmark family or the what's the other one that they have out there? Hallmark. We're going to use a Hallmark family because I know there's something else out there and I forgot which one it was. But anyway, it's that. Anyway, so I'm watching the family. I'm watching the cop who really does not know how to kill a deer. All right. And so I'm like, dude, you do not. I mean, he was shooting the deer a couple times and it was struggling. And I'm like, it's still alive. This is how you shoot the deer and put it out of its misery. So anyway, I'm standing on the sidewalk and I happen to look down the street. And the cop at the same time fires his weapon. So here comes some gunshots. Pop, pop, pop. And again, like I said, the mother, the baby, and the dog were walking in front of the father. Okay. And I know this family, and I know this is a family unit for sure. The father, instead of standing in front of the family, he did not know that there was a cop down the street shooting a deer. He did not know. All he did is he knew a gunshot sounded like, and he knew that he had to, do something. And he did. Unfortunately, he turned around and left his family to kind of like stop. And he literally turned around and walked away. I mean, he had a cleaner shot to get out of the way out of the path of the bullets. And quite frankly, his entire family was walking in front of him. So his entire family would have absorbed any hit that would have come his way if he needed it. I kind of laughed a little bit, but then me being a father myself and me being a family man, I realized that no, you should not do that. You should have stood in front. You should stand there to protect your family. And that is the role that a father, that a man has to play. And unfortunately, too many times nowadays, we are, as men, we are leaving our counterparts, our family members, our wives in a lurch because we're not being that person. We're just not being that person that will stand up and fight. Far too many times, I hear stories of women taking a greater role in their households. I'm not saying they're not supposed to be leaders, because women are great leaders, but I am saying far too many times women are taking on dual roles in their families, even when there is a man in the house. And it disgusts me, to be honest with you. I've seen women, working and going to school, and their man's at home playing Xbox. And that's not cool. That is not cool in any way, shape, or form. As men, we got to grow up and we have to be uncomfortable. So today we have a guest on. Her name is Jo Jackson. She is out of Sydney, Australia. She is a life coach. She has a lot of knowledge when it comes to society in general. And she is going to be right back after this, talking about the movement that started in Sydney, Australia, and it is literally it is catching on steam, and it is becoming a worldwide movement. It is the dangerous modern man. And again, she has received flack on this as well, because again, like I said, we really do need to understand our roles. And I'm not saying it in a sexist way at all. Listen to what Jo Jackson has to say. We'll be right back right after this.
Want a financial detective who translates your money into clear insights and understands your vision? Meet Rose Knows Bookkeeping. Free up your time and get peace of mind with accurate, up-to-date finances. Let Rose handle the numbers while you focus on success. Contact Rose Knows Bookkeeping today.
We are back. Remember, when I started this podcast long ago, I talked about purpose. I talked about understanding your goals and where you want to go. And one of the things, in order to understand what your purpose is, you have to understand who you are, what your role is, what you're all about. And many times we are confused, and it doesn't matter where we are. And I'm talking today to an individual. She's from Sydney, Australia. Yes, I love Sydney, and the thing I love most about Australia is the United States. If you go back in history, the United States and Australia, we have different leaders, we have a lot of things, but we do share a common bond. We do have a very common bond, and there's a brotherhood between the United States and Australia that cannot be broken. And today I have someone, Jo Jackson. She is from Sydney, Australia. She has Dangerous Modern Man. And you're like, how does she have Dangerous Modern Man? And when we get to talking, you're going to understand why she is absolutely suited to run such a movement. Jo, welcome to the program. How are you doing today?
Thanks so much, Trinus. I am well, and hello everybody from Sydney, Australia. It is a beautiful day today, as you would expect, and There's so much to look forward to, and this conversation is going to be brilliant. I can feel it already.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being on the program. And it's funny how you're saying it's such a beautiful day here. Our days right now, our beautiful days from now until probably March, those are going to be blessings up here in our hemisphere. It's we're not going to have too many beautiful days. As a matter of fact, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of snow on the horizon, but that's okay. Sometimes that is a beautiful thing, especially like me. I'm from Buffalo, New York. I love snow. Joe, you have, and I want to just get right to it, you have a movement. And I have been very impressed by the things that you have said, what you post, your motivation, the group that you run. And it's not just for Australia. I'm a part of this movement as well, and I'm here in the United States. So you have a worldwide movement. It's called Dangerous Modern Man. What is that all about?
I love this question. It's such a convoluted question and there are so many answers. But if I'm going to give you the short version, it's about bringing back the primal man. The dangerous modern man is a necessity.
Okay, so we are living in a society now where the primal man is not, well, let's put it this way. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Sometimes people say the primal man is not the optimal man, but you're saying that is the optimal man. Why is that?
I truly believe that we were created with everything that we need, and we have evolved over time in a lot of ways, effectively, productively, and towards a true north. And then we have these other elements of human beings which have contorted and been generated and emasculated into what we call our current men. And you can see it in society at the moment. There's such a disparity between one type of man and another type of man that you can see the thread all through of who's been impacted differently. The primal man is a man at his core. And when we think about men at their core, even all the way back in time, you think about men, they are the first call. They are the protector. They are the strength. And this is what men are called to be. I truly believe in my heart of hearts that this is exactly what men are called to be. And this is exactly why we need a dangerous modern man, because we've forgotten and men have been removed of their permission to be that type of man now. I see examples of it every single day. I literally just had a conversation with my 15-year-old daughter of an exact example of why we need dangerous men back in society to step up and be courageous. And this comes from our primal understanding of who we are. All of these elements are embodied in us all the way back to the dawn of time. We've just forgotten how to use them, and we're trying to fit in a mold. And our poor men are being told what they need to be to conform. And depending on where you are and who you're being seen by and who you are hanging around, the perception of who you should be will differ. But what if we went back to what's at the core of a man? And I think the reason why people struggle with the fact that the primal man is not the way to go is because the primal man, in his true manhood, he's a little bit unpredictable. He's going to be the one that will step up and do what he thinks is right at that time without consulting with anybody else, because he has within himself that assurance that he is going to do what is right. And we lost that. We've watered it down. It's been diluted.
You know, I'm going to say that there are people in my audience right now. My audience spans every single race, creed, color, gender. We have Republicans, we have Democrats, we have conservatives, we have liberals. You name it, every color, everything. Matter of fact, this month, I have 68 countries that listen to my podcast regularly.
Wow.
So right now we have a contingent of my audience that's saying we have a woman that's telling us that it's okay for a man to be dangerous. Now, in our society, dangerous, we have the Me Too movement, we have a lot of different movements. So the word dangerous to some, okay, may be
I will say, I don't want to use the word offensive because that's not the right word, but it may be, I'm going to use this word. It may trigger something. Okay.
Yeah.
What is the word dangerous? If someone walks up to you and say, what's your definition of dangerous when it comes to this situation? What is that?
I want to tell you that my definition of dangerous is probably very similar to the definition that everybody else uses. But what I want to really clearly express is it's the utilization of an individual's capacity to be dangerous is what's key here. What we've done is we presume that dangerous is violent, and to the extent where it's violent without a cause, it's control, it's dominance, it's enforcement, because that's what society has shown us. Lord knows we've got enough examples of dangerous men who really need to have some serious therapy.
Absolutely.
However, when we talk about dangerous in its true element of what it is, dangerous means if I need someone to go and stand up for the truth, there is someone that's going to do that and say, I don't care what the implications of me doing this is, because I am so absolutely committed to this truth, I'm going to stand up for it. Dangerous is about courage. It's about picking up the baton when I need to. It's about a warrior in a garden, that man that you wouldn't assume to be much, and suddenly he's there and he's leading a pack of people because he believes in a cause. Mm-hmm. Dangerous is not meant to be about guns and gang violence and mass rape. Dangerous is not the cartels. Dangerous is about a man who understands that essence within him, that burning fire that he's got, is actually a good thing. And the reason why he fears it is because society tells him constantly, you better keep that under control, buddy, because that's not acceptable. So get back in your box and do as you're told.
Absolutely. And you know what? You are so right when you said that. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's not what a man is. You know, this is the thing. We have emasculated our men so much. We've shredded them and we've belittled them so much that they don't dare stand up for what they want, because there are so many pressures coming from external that a lot of the men I talk to don't even know who they are.
That is so true. What you are saying, now, what are some of the things that your movement does to help make it acceptable once again for men to be courageous?
Yeah, I help men understand who they are. We start with a foundation of awareness. Who am I? How did I get to be here? What are the things that are virtues of mine that I'm proud of, that I may not have thought of, that I potentially don't show very much? And then what are my faults? We dig into all right, let's see, where are those things that you hide, that you don't want to talk about, or perhaps these are elements of yourself which people are constantly referring to that you don't dare go near, because you know that underneath that there is so much more. So it's hidden. There's a sheath on top of it, keeps it out of the sight of the public view, but we all know it's there. So the first thing that we do when I start to work with men is we talk about, hey, who are you really? What are your faults? What are your virtues? Where are your mistakes? Where are your wins? What do you want to be? What are the influences in your life right now? Where do you feel like you've fallen over? Where do you feel like you've let someone down? What are the times when you wanted to stand up and you couldn't, and what happened and why? Mm-hmm. We go through all of that to help the man get an understanding of himself, because you cannot know who you want to be until you know who you don't want to be. And you can't know who you don't want to be until you understand how you got there.
That is beautiful. That is actually the foundation for finding purpose. Is, we're always trying to find out who we are, but we really don't know who we are. I know that sounds weird, but it's so true. We are trying to build a foundation. I know that there's a lot of confusion with young men, and I talk to a lot of young men. There's a lot of confusion with young men nowadays because they know who they really want to be. They really do, in their heart of hearts. But somewhere down the line, society, something has told them that that's wrong.
Something has told them that that's wrong. And even, if you look at it, people who stand up nowadays, they are sometimes, they are looked at as rogue. They're looked at in a bad light. And I remember, and I'm sounding like I'm a get off my lawn type guy. I was a kid of the 70s and 80s, but I remember back in the day, back at that, they wanted you to stand up. And my parents, my mother, my father, they both said you need to stand up, and you need to be courageous, but you need to do it in a way where that has integrity and respect. And I love what you are bringing here. Now, again, I'm going back to we are building the dangerous modern man in a time where there are so many things that try to prevent you from building that dangerous modern man. I know that you have a lot of people behind you. I'm one of those people. But you also, I'm not naive. I know that you have some type of resistance, especially you being a woman, in today's day and age. Do you get resistance? What do people say to you on the, you know where I'm going. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely, I do. And first of all, I'd like to take the opportunity to just call out, and I immensely appreciate your support in this, because having somebody who has a reach like yours and allows me onto your platform, it's immense privilege for me to be able to be here and share this. And the fact that you willingly joined my group and you have gotten involved with the people in that group is absolutely huge for me, because I know how hard it is to be a man and get involved. I see it all the time. Men want to collectively be part of a tribe, but it's always that first step. And what do I do and how do I show up? And even with men, there's this evaluation and there's this control. And what do? I don't want to be too big. I don't want to be too small. And you want to make sure we just get it right. So it's tricky when you're doing anything like that. Likewise, it's a bit tricky as a woman, as you've well noted. One of the biggest things I come across is when I launched Dangerous Modern Man 12 months ago, it was the first term I heard was pick me. It was an insult that was given to me, and I was slammed with it pretty quickly, because how dare I be a woman that goes and advocates for men? And then when people dig deeper into my story, because it's there on Facebook, you can see it. Oh, she's a divorced woman that advocates for men. Well, that's just way worse, because, honey, you're divorced. You're supposed to hate men. So can you work out which side of the fence you're on, please? And then they look even deeper and they say, oh, she's a performance coach that's divorced, that's a woman that advocates for men. That's even worse. So what you're doing now is you're helping the men compete against the women. And these are some of the messages I got and I received. It was, sweetheart, you need to pick your side. Are you all for the men or are you all for the women? And my response is, how about I'm all for creation? How about I'm all for getting it right? How about I'm all for something bigger than the gender against the gender, because I think that's absolute rubbish. How about I have a wider view on things? And how about I understand that because I've been in the front line, because I've worked with addicts, because I've worked with the homeless, because I've worked with professionals and executives and a whole range of men, I see some of the rubbish that they go through. And quite frankly, what does it matter what's in my pants, whether or not I'm capable of helping? It shouldn't. But it does, because people like to find a way to pick at you. It doesn't just come from women, it also comes from men. Men tend to think that it would be a really good idea to try and shut me down with sexual behaviors. I've had all sorts of things through my messenger chat. The worst would have to be the man that had a picture of my Facebook profile on a video, on a laptop. He was videoing himself doing some rather interesting things. You can fill in the blanks. And I was new to doing what I'm doing. And I opened up my messenger chat and saw that. And I'm a visual person. So that really played for a while in my head, long after I deleted the post. And these are the types of things that you deal with. But you know what? It doesn't matter, all of that. I can get called a pick me. I can get called all sorts of things. But for me, the name calling's irrelevant, because as the name calling exists, it really just broadens my resilience, and it really makes me more determined to make this happen, because it makes the gap more apparent and the need for this to evolve.
You know, I absolutely love what you're doing. Not only am I a part of the movement, but I do have young men come and you know, get onto your website. They are onto your Facebook page and things like that. I am trying to guide people your way. I think what you're doing is fantastic. And again, I cannot stress enough to my audience that it is imperative that you realize that you are not going to find purpose. You're not going to have a plan. You're not going to even have passion until you truly know who you are. You understand your place. You understand what the ultimate end goal is in your life. You're not going to understand it. And one thing that you have to do is you have to understand who you are as a person and what your purpose is in the big picture. And I really love what you're doing, establishing that, making it okay for men to be men and women to be women. And now I am not going into the massive debate that we have worldwide that we talk about when it comes to gender. That is not what I'm talking about at all. When I'm talking about this, what I am talking about today is it is okay to be who you are. And it is okay to fill that purpose and do what you have to do.
Yeah.
Joe, I really appreciate it. I am going to put all of the contact information in the podcast notes. You are going to love this. I am going to be in Sydney in March. Joe, we're going to have coffee together, please.
Absolutely.
You know?
That's what we do.
Absolutely. I would love to see that. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to sit and chat. We will be right back right after this.
Hello. First, I want to say I am forever grateful for the support that my audience has given me for the 4Ps podcast. When the 4Ps podcast started out, it was only supposed to deal with the 4Ps, that is purpose, planning, passion, and persistence. But then after hearing the stories that I hear from my guests and also hearing the stories and the responses of the stories from my audience regarding how those stories helped, I was compelled to come out with the series Stories Of. Stories Of is going to be a series of books. Right now we have, for 2024, we have the stories of children lost and the stories of veterans. In 2025, we will have a stories of loss once more, but we'll also have the stories of addiction. And in the future, we'll have other stories to come about. These books give the voice to those who probably couldn't give their voice out any other way, and we will give them their stories, and they share their stories with you, and they help the reader find ways that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Stories of franchise. Like I said, the first two are out for 2024. It's Stories of Children Lost and the Stories of Veterans. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it at Barnes & Noble. You can find it anywhere you buy books. It's the Stories of franchise. Please, please read it. It will help you. It will help your loved ones. It will help your family. Stories Of. Get them at a bookshop near you. Hello and welcome back to the final segment of today's 4Ps podcast. Yes, this was probably one of the heaviest, as far as topics are concerned, one of the heaviest topics that we ever had to deal with. It was dealing with the role of a dangerous modern man. Now, we're not talking about the toxic man, because that man needs to go somewhere. All right, that man's got a problem, and he is not doing he's not doing masculinity a favor. Let's just put it that way. We'll leave it there. Now, but I will say this: you have to be able to serve your role as a man. Now, I can't even stress enough to know, and I'm going to say this, I said this in the beginning of the show, I'm going to say it again. In order for you to understand and be successful in life and serve your purpose and all those other things, you need to know what your role is. All right. You can't take on a different role. If you think about, and again, I used sports as an example. You can't have a team. Tom Brady, and this really pains me to say this, Tom Brady, probably one of the greatest quarterbacks in the modern era. All right. But if you had a team full of Tom Brady's, you're going to lose, because I have seen Tom Brady try to tackle. He can't. I have seen Tom Brady try to run. And as old as I am, all right, I mean, I do not want him as a mobile quarterback. I mean, he's fast and he could do all those other things, but no, he is a pocket quarterback for sure. All right. I have seen Tom Brady try to catch. As a matter of fact, he tried to do it once in a Super Bowl, and no, he is no Josh Allen. And I had to say that because being a Bills fan, I got to make sure, where my loyalty lands, right? But you can't have a team full of Tom Brady's. If you had a team full of Tom Brady's, you're going to lose, all right? You also cannot have a household with a bunch of fathers. You can't have a household with a bunch of mothers, because if that happens, guess what? Your family's going to fall apart. We all have a role. We all have something that we have to do. And we have to do it right. And I'm talking about it as a family, in a family manner, but I'm also talking about a society as well. All right. Men, be men. Step up. Do what you have to do. Be the protector that we were in charge to be. Okay. Not saying that women can't protect. All right? I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying step up. All right. Step up that role. I have seen too many men nowadays, too many modern men nowadays, not take the mantle. Look for somebody else to do it. All right. Get dirty. Get your hands dirty. Get tough. And I love what Joe Jackson said during this podcast episode. I have some contact information for her. She has a Facebook page. This is a growing movement. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you sit there and listen to Joe Jackson talk, and while she's talking, she is absolutely talking to you. And if you feel uncomfortable, and if you feel even the slight bit angry at what Joe Jackson has to say, she's probably talking directly to you, okay? Because she is igniting something in you, and she is pointing something in you that you need to do to step up. Joe Jackson, someone you definitely want to listen to. She is a powerful voice out of Sydney, Australia, and I am trying to make her a powerful voice worldwide. Make sure you go to her Facebook site. It is a growing movement. Great men are in it. I follow her. I just love listening to her. She's a smart, no nonsense individual, and she is a great person. And when I go to Australia, when I go to Sydney, I am definitely going to have coffee with her, and I'll probably have to be, because I'm the guy I gotta buy. So there you go. You guys have a great day. We'll be back next week with Pastor Ron Bridgewater. Pastor Ron Bridgewater, he is a friend of mine from, we're going back to Brazil, Indiana. He no longer lives there, but he is a fantastic friend of mine. He is a pastor who really had to do, going back to roles, he had to do what he was supposed to do first before he could do what he wants to do now. We are going to be talking to Pastor Ron Bridgewater next week. We will talk to you soon. Have a great rest of the week. And you know what? Male or female, be dangerous out there. Be dangerous for sure. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.